I'm Bob Wolfe. I came to Apex in 1994. I was the head football coach here and taught math here and was assistant athletic director from 1994 through 2012. So I was the head coach here at Apex for 18 years.
18 years as the head football coach here. So you played Cary, I guess, 18 times.
18 times.
What was that game like each time?
It was pretty exciting. It didn't take me very long being here. Of course, it used to be the last game of the season. And so as we went through that first year, kind of struggling, but it didn't take very long to realize the importance of the rivalry, the Apex Cary rivalry. So there was always a lot of excitement that week. The players were a little bit more on edge. They were a little more ready to get to that game just because of the fact that it was such a big rivalry and had been a rivalry for years and years and years. And so it was an exciting time. You know, as toward the last few years when more schools started opening up, the rivalry was still there. Maybe not quite as strong as it was because new rivalries between Cary and other schools that were a little bit closer grew up. But the Apex Cary rivalry was always a huge, huge game for us anyway. I don't know about them, but it was for us. So
tell us the story about wearing the Cary jersey to football practice.
That happened in 1999. I was an assistant coach for the East team in the annual East-West All-Star game in Greensboro, and there was a Cary player on that team, Scott Kustra, who was in that game, and we had known each other because we'd gone against each other. I'd coached against him, and he'd played against us for several years, and was such a class young man. And so we got to be even better friends during that week of the East-West game. So when that game, the week was over, and the players left, and we were going through rooms to make sure the rooms in the hotel were okay. When I went into his room, there was a Cary practice jersey still laying on the bed. And so I picked it up because I knew it was Scott's, and so I took it home, and I can't remember for sure. I think I maybe called him or whatever. And anyway, the long and short of the whole story is that I kept the jersey, and so I just kind of filed it away and didn't think anything of it. And then we got ready to play them that next year, and I thought, well, it's Cary, why not? So on Monday of practice, I put that on over my other stuff and wore it out to practice, and wore it for a couple of days. And did that for several years just because it was a Cary football jersey. So
never had anybody hit you though, right?
No, they knew better.
Now you're not from Apex, so no. Did you know about this rivalry before you got here?
I'm from Goldsboro, so not too far down the road, and I knew it was a pretty big rivalry, so I knew that it was important, and after I'd been here a year or two, I found out even more so important, not just for the players, but it was a huge rivalry for the community, and the people here in Apex were always excited about playing Cary. It was just a big game, and I knew that went back for years, and so it's always been that way.
There are differences in the two communities, lots of similarities too, though. How did the proximity and the similarities of the two communities, how did that play into the spirited rivalry between the two?
Well, the players knew each other, so that always makes a little bit of difference too. At least not all of them, but most of the guys knew several guys over there, and they knew us, and so it's always fun when you get to go up against people that you know. So that was fun. I mean, I always loved going against my old high school coach. It was just fun. But I think the other thing too is that Cary, grew so much faster, and that they were just a bigger city than we were, and we were still a little bit more rural than they were, and especially in the 90s. But then that's not so much anymore. But I think that kind of made some of them feel that Cary looked down on us a little bit, because we weren't quite as good as they were, and we weren't as big a town as they were. So that always provided a little motivation also.
Are there certain games or moments that you think of when you think of Apex Cary from when you were coaching here?
Well, probably the first biggest memory was in 1998. It was our first winning season. And the last winning season before that had been in 1981. And so we played them the last game, and it was here at Apex. And both of us had 7-2 records going into that game. And so whoever won that game was going to be the second team to represent the conference in the state playoffs. So there was a lot more on that game than just the rivalry. The rivalry was big. But our program had grown. We started using the bank at the end of the field to come down, kind of like Clemson. We started that, I think, in 96 or 97. And so our great football moms committee, they would try to decorate things up, and they'd do a lot of things for us. And they had tied these strands of balloons down on the gate right where we come onto the field. And so we'd gone back in after warming up. And so when we came back out, the balloons were gone. And the story is that some of the Cary players had taken those balloons and let them go. And so that ignited us a little bit. But the biggest memory of that game was that we beat them, and we finished 8-2 and got the second place berth into the state playoffs from our conference. And the kids our players played so well, and we're so excited about that game. And we were ahead 27-14, and right near the end of the game, and Cary was trying to catch back up and score, and we intercepted a pass, and Derek Beavers intercepted it and took it right straight down our sideline and scored again right there at the end of the game, and that just added icing on the cake. And it was such an exciting night to finally beat them after we've been struggling here for 4 years, and the playoff, that game was great. And 99, the next year, the rivalry was still there, and they were good and we were good, and we played at Cary. And the biggest thing about that game that I remembered is that they beat us by 12 points, and Austin Herbert, their fantastic kicker that went to NC State, kicked 4 field goals in that game, which was the 12-point difference. Other than that, it was an even game. And that was huge. That's a memory that we can't forget. In 2007, we were playing here at Apex, and it was a 21-21 game, and about a minute 50 left in the game, and we dropped back to pass, and somehow or another, our receiver was wide slam open, and he caught it. It was about a 65-yard touchdown pass that won that game. And the fun thing about it was that the guy that caught that pass is Rob Frank, who's the head coach now here at Apex. And so that was good. And then the next year, we played them again over at Cary, and it was really a back and forth game. And it was, I think it was 17-17, and about a little over a minute to go, and we were driving down, and I was just going to try to get in position to kick a field goal to win the game. And so we dropped back, and had a route that Rob actually ran. In fact, he scored on the first play of that game, another touchdown. But we were just trying to get in position, and we were going to call a play to get us right in the middle of the field. And our quarterback, Houston Hawley, had an option on that if he saw a good matchup and coverage to go deep. And he did that and went deep, and Brandon Carr caught a touchdown pass with 11 seconds left in the game, and we beat them that year. So there's been a lot of exciting moments through the years.
I was going to ask you about Rob Frank, because obviously that's a storyline going into this. He'll be playing or coaching against Cary in his first game as the head coach. Have you talked to him about that?
No, not really. You don't have to talk to him about that. He'll know the significance of that, and it's a pretty good challenge for his first game as a head coach. So we'll see. What does it mean to you to see a former player of yours come and take over as head coach here? Oh, it's exciting. I'm excited for him. Excited for the program. It's kind of gratifying to see your players do it, and not just Rob, but Adam Thomas, the defensive coordinator, played for us, and Bryce Sneed, who's on the staff. We've got 3 former players that are on the staff right now, and that's great to be able to look back and see that. And then the other fun thing is to see players' sons are now playing for Apex. A lot of our former players' sons are playing now, so it's just a great feeling, a gratifying feeling.
Did you think Rob would be a coach one day when he was playing?
I can remember one time when he was in college, and he and I got together for dinner one night, and we were talking, and I asked him, what he wanted to do, and he I think he has maybe mentioned it before, but he said he thought he'd like to coach, and so we talked about that some, and then when he graduated, he decided to go into business a little while, and he did that, and then decided that he wanted to coach. And so I kind of felt like he was going to end up back there anyway doing that, because we talked about it a couple times actually, and so I think it was in his mind the whole time, but he had to go find out some other things and then came back. And so yeah, it's exciting to see him now, and he's really studied the game, and he's learning a lot, and so that's good.
Is there anything that I should have asked that I haven't asked yet? Any stories I need to ask about, particularly between Cary and Apex?
I've pretty much hit the game highlights of through that. It's always been a challenge. I know back in 2004, I guess, it's kind of funny how things work out, that we were getting ready to play Green Hope, and both of us were undefeated at that time. I think it was 6-0 or 7-0 or whatever. And we played them here, and we ended up beating them on a field goal late in the game. And that was the year that Green Hope ended up going to the semifinals of the state, I think. And then, because they won 13 games and we won 10 that year. But then a couple weeks after that, we were still undefeated, and so was Cary, and we had to play each other. And they ended up beating us that time. So between the 3 of us that year, it was kind of a round robin thing of who was going to stay undefeated the longest.
Kind of the new rivalry
yeah.
too.
Yeah.
I was at that